Have we found the next micro strategy? Bitcoin is recovering today along with the miners after several days of suffering. We are seeing a bit of a bounce come back. Let's take a look at what's going on with the two stocks that I mentioned yesterday on the channel, as well as one brand new one that I think you're going to like. Now let's get into the chart. Bitcoin currently at $67,338. We're coming off of where we hit that bottom there at 64-ish thousand dollars, 64.5-ish on my chart here. I like how well that just bounced right off the bottom of my ascending channel where I also had a support line there. It's almost as if technical analysis is magic sometimes. It's beautiful. Absolutely love it. I encourage everyone to develop that skill. Technical analysis is just fantastic sometimes, especially on crypto, I've noticed, especially on crypto. Let's take a look at the moving averages. We are coming up on the bottom of the 15-day moving average. We do have a red arrow on this thing right now, meaning the 5 has crossed beneath 15. A bit of a bearish sign here. We are getting a squeeze, as you can see in the top here. Oh, yeah, and I still need to get this indicator out to the public. I'll see if I can try to work on that a bit today. Things have been a bit hectic. I am still thinking about it. It is on my mind. Anyways, when the squeeze goes off, we're in the middle here, so it could go either way, just depending on where the momentum is. The thing I don't like about this is, if I can see it here, is the volume is low. So we have got this big-ish green candle today on lower volume. So that's a bit of a bad omen. That means that this could potentially not be sustained. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But as you saw, like back here, right, we had these growing green bars back in March 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And then they started tapering off and coming down. And that's when we got that big sell-off, is after the volume tapered down for a while. And we're seeing that tapering of the volume here right now after yesterday. It was a big volume day, and then today's smaller volume day, but a bigger candle, meaning we're going up on lower volume. That's not great. Okay, let's take a look at the miners real quick. CleanSpark up 6%. They were actually up about 8 this morning at open, so we are coming down a little bit off of that high. But that is a good sign that we are actually getting some movement today. It's more than like 1 or 2%. It's, we're actually currently up 6.7% on CleanSpark. Could this have been the bottom here at $16.18? I don't know, but totally possible, and I'd be very happy. But we do need to get over that $18 again in order to say that that was the bottom. So we've got to get back over above $18, hold it, get back into this ascending channel, get to the top of this descending channel, preferably break out of this thing for realsies this time, and continue moving on up. Let's look at the moving averages real quick. So yeah, we got a red arrow on this one, just like on Bitcoin. We're closer to the bottom than top of the Bollinger Band, but we could come all the way down to $14 if we were to get to the very bottom of the Bollinger Band. We didn't quite do that last time, and I don't suspect we will. I do think we'll get close to about $15 potentially here before the halving. I do think that this is going to be a bit of a breath here on the way down. We'll maybe come up to 18, maybe like 1850, touch 19, and then I do think that we will come back down to 19 soon after on CleanSpark right now. Let me just draw like out to the halving, which is around here, and do something like this. Boom. There we go. That's the handle. Not handle, but like that's the trajectory I'm kind of expecting. Like we'll kind of come up and then like maybe come out of this a little bit and then start coming back down. We'll have a look at that. I do think that will happen. Let's take a look at Mara real quick. Mara is actually okay. It's red, but it's up 1.72%. I'm gonna turn off the Bollinger Band. Well, yeah, I'm gonna turn off the Bollinger Band. It's distracting to me right now. It's not helpful to me. Too many things on the screen. We are still hanging around in this most traded zone here around that 1974. Of course, this is not financial advice nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever, but it does look like this could potentially be a good area to accumulate Mara based on the price history. Of course, do your own research, come to your own conclusions before buying any assets whatsoever. This is just what the chart is telling me when I look at it. So we've already come down here. We don't have a red arrow on this chart yet. We are getting a bunching up of the SMAs, which is a signal that we are becoming a compressed spring. And once this squeeze releases, it is going to be an explosive move in one way or the other, and considering that how close we are to the halving here in just a couple of weeks, my bias is towards the upside, but we will see if that comes to pass or not. Let's take a look at Riot real quick. Riot also doing nothing, up 2% today. We're at 1051. We're hanging out just below this ascending trend line here. Honestly, I need to see this come back up to 1143, get above 1143 before I feel like it can go back to that $12.50, $13 range. And then from there, continue on upward. We are at the very bottom of this volume profile, which is a scary place to be, because if we fall beneath that, we're likely coming down to 885 again, and I don't want to do that. I have call options on this thing. I would very much like it to go back up. We'll see. It may comply with that desire. It might not. But I mean, I have leaps, so my calls on Riot are all the way out until 2026, so I can ride out any of this roughness for quite a while. But it has been kind of tough here since March 28th when we got that big sell-off. Like, I was actually doing well until March 28th on those calls, and now it's just boop, it's just came and knifed me pretty good there. That's okay though. I can wait it out. It's not a big deal right now. Take a look at Bit Digital. Bit Digital up 4%, not doing too bad, doing a little better than some of their peers, a little worse than others. We got out of this descending channel here. Actually, I should probably widen that now then. Boop. Now we're hanging out. Yeah, okay. We're hanging out around the middle. So this candle, this big green candle here from March 28th will represent our descending channel here. Does this come to, okay, so we could say this is a bit of a cup or perhaps an inverse head and shoulders. Let me get my drawings here. So we got a shoulder, a head, another shoulder. If we can stay up above and get above 261, we could potentially run to 336. Same thing if it's a handle. If it's a cup and handle, which it could be, like there's the cup. This represents the handle that I've already drawn on here. We break above that trend line, and we'd be looking at 336 to about 350 if it were to fulfill that that chart pattern. We'll see. I don't know if it will or not, but we'll see. In fact, oh, there was another chart I drew a cup and handle on in a previous episode back in was it January? That I'd like to bring up later in the episode to just show the power of technical analysis and how you can't forget some of the charts you've drawn on before. I forgot about this when I went back and I was like, oh man, I could have traded that so well. But we'll take a look at that, and I'll let you know what that is at the end of the episode. So Bitfarms up 2.48%. We're kind of just hanging out. We're stagnant. We're just going sideways here. I think we'll probably continue to do that until the halving, when we find out who is going to be profitable and who is going to have to go into the obscure places of unprofitability. I think that's what's going to happen here going forward into April, and that's what the market is waiting for. It's taking a breath, waiting to see some of those things happen. Let's see what's going on with CIFRW, the warrants. CIFRW. It'd be great if I spelt it right and if I did not. Issues there. Okay, here we go. The warrants. So if you had an alert on your chart back here in early March and picked it up around 75 cents or so, I ended up getting in around like 90 cents as it came down. Right now I have a buy order at 97 cents. So it'd have to come all the way to about this white line here, a little less than that white line. And then I'd pick up about 1,000 shares. That's what my order is for. And then, of course, I would wait for it to come back up to about 120, 130, and then I'd sell it all again. Make a quick 200 bucks, just like I did last time. I got in around 190. At 120, I sold. I should have held until 171. Man, that would have been so much more money. But what can you do? I sold at 120, made like a quick 200 bucks on this. That's what I've been doing with Cipher warrants. I've been waiting for it to come down to like that traded zone around $1 or slightly below $1. I'm hoping this time for slightly below $1. I just have that order waiting to execute, and then when it pops up by 30-40%, I just sell it and then wait for it to come back again and rinse and repeat. That's how I've been playing this one, because it's a warrant. It's very volatile. It does these big swings up and down, and I've just kind of been taking advantage of those when they come. So I do have a buy order at, I think it's like 97, 96 cents, somewhere like that. I'm hoping it slowly comes down to that. My order triggers, and then like a week or two later, it pops up just like it did here, right? Like I got in around back here, around 90-ish cents, came down another 15 cents, did a big pop. I held through that, right? No, I sold on this one. I sold on this one. Yeah, I sold on that one. Then it came all the way back down to 84 cents, and I was like, that was a good decision. And then it popped up to 170. Oh well, what can you do? Uh, so that's what's going on with the warrants right now. I'm looking for it to come back down to about $1, maybe a little bit under $1, and then pop back up to that 170, perhaps even all the way back up to that 180, or maybe even all the way back up to about that $2 range again on the warrants right now. So keep it on your chart. Watch it. It is coming down. It will probably reverse somewhere around $1 because Cipher is not going to go down forever, especially after the halving. So this might be the last chance this cycle to get that kind of like under $1. And then write it up a bit. So this time I might not sell it right away. I might actually hold it up to $2 or $3 this time when this one gets back down under $1. But I am just waiting. If it doesn't get to my strike price, I'm not going to buy it because that's just how I operate. I have a set price that I want, and if I don't get it, I don't get it. And that's all there is to it. You may do things differently. Like I said, this is not financial advice nor a suggestion advice that I hold any assets whatsoever. Just what I'm doing with my portfolio and the thoughts that I have when I look at these. Let's see what's going on with IREN today. I think IREN had a big one today. IREN, yeah, 10%. IREN's doing good. It's in this ascending channel. It's just hanging out near the bottom of it, so it's got some room to move up in a big way. It could go up to 750 pretty easily, in my opinion. But it does need to stay above 556. It's got to stay above 556 in order to make that move up to 750. If it gets below 556, we're going to come down to meet $5 and potentially even down to like 430, and maybe even come back down to fill this gap down here at 420-ish if we can't hold on to that momentum. So this could be a new move up, breakout sort of scenario, or it could just be the slight upward movement before another leg down. We'll have to wait to see, but it is currently showing strength. The RSI is looking good. Let's see where the SMAs are. I think they're all below it. All the SMAs are below it. You can see here, so this is what I'm looking at for like RIOT and a few others like Mara and a couple of others where the SMAs are all bunched up like this, right? Like price came down, went under all the SMAs, and then they all got bunched up, and then there was just this one big spike that got above the SMAs. Then it came back to test like the 15 or the 50, and now it's going up and kind of just trading up now higher and higher above these SMAs. That's what I'm looking for, that kind of movement, because this is super bullish when we get up and above the SMAs, and when we start bouncing off of them to the upside, that's very bullish, and that's why I'm saying that I do see more of a bias towards that $7 versus $4. But of course, I have to give you the range. You know, where's support? Support's at 557, 556. Where's resistance? It's kind of up here around $7-ish. And if it breaks either of those, it's going way higher or way lower. So that's what we're looking at with the miners. So let's take a look at some plays that we looked at yesterday. First of all, Tesla. How's Tesla doing today? It's plus 0.2%. So nothing to be excited about on Tesla. We did get a red arrow on the SMAs today and a slight squeeze. So we are expecting some further downside, perhaps coming back down to test 160. If 160 were to break, we would come down to around that well, first we're going to make a stop around 156, 150, and then 145 ultimately is that gap fill if we can get that. It looks like it probably wants to try to get there. I don't know if it will, but this downward pressure on it is dramatic. How's the volume profile? It doesn't show us anything. We haven't been down here in such a long time. There's no volume. So it is slowly working down, trying to get down back to that 160. If 160 breaks 155, 156-ish, if that doesn't hold 145, here we come. Or maybe 146. Is that what my line is? About 146, here we come. Before we start seeing maybe a reversal. That's where I'm really going to be looking for a reversal. If it hits that 146, I'm really going to be looking for, okay, when is this thing going to break back out again? Because we all know that Tesla loves to go on a 100% run. When after seeing a big down move like it has over the last like year and a half or so. So keep an eye on it, just watching it. We're just watching it right now. This thing has downside potential. It does have upside potential. The upside potential is $200. Gets over $200, we're looking at like 220, over 220. We're going right back up to 240-ish and then 260 above and potentially even 300 at the end of the year or maybe into 2025. Now, this is going to be a longer term thing. This is a swing. It's not like a one-day thing. And we're going to be watching this thing for weeks probably before it does anything. Same thing with NVDA. We're just watching it do its thing. We're just watching and waiting and see what it's going to do right now. I wouldn't touch this thing yet. Honestly, I would not touch this thing yet. So there's a few promising moves here, though. So you see how price came below the 15-day moving average, and then it got that red arrow, and now today we actually have a positive day. I know that candle is red, but we are up 1%, but look where it stopped. Stopped right on that 15-day moving average, and then started coming back down. So it opened up slightly above it at 906 and came down below it. This is showing that this is not confirming a downward move yet, but it is foreshadowing that that's what it wants to do, and we'll see if the market lets it or not. So we are waiting on this, just waiting. That's all I'm doing. I haven't done anything with this because honestly, this stock scares me. So I am waiting till I get real confirmation before I do anything with this thing. Um, but this is a bit of a promising sign that it came down below the 15, came back to test it, and then failed at it. Not once, but at least twice it failed at it. Honestly, if we count these dojis back here, it's failed 4 times, but I'm not doing that. I'm not getting ahead of myself here and getting too excited. So if we see it hold beneath the 15-day moving average here today on NVIDIA, I would be starting to get a little more confidence. So like every day I'm building a little more confidence, a little more confidence. Is it going to come down? Is it going to come down? I don't know, but I'm building little bits of confidence here every once in a while. And it won't be like a huge flush down or anything. Like my target I'm looking for is like 860. I want to see it come down to 860, and then from there I'll see if what the strength looks like of the stock. Is it going to come back down, fill this gap maybe down to 823 perhaps, or is it going to rebound off of 860 just aggressively and come back up to $1,000? I don't know, but like I've said, I'm just watching this thing right now. It's not really doing too much, but it is showing some signs of its intentions, which right now look like maybe a tiny, like at least a bit of a dip, potentially down to 860. If it gets above the 15-day moving average though, yeah, we're looking at returning back to the highs. So like, don't get ahead of yourself. This stock is scary. It moves fast. Don't get too excited about it. Just watch it for now. And of course, not financial advice, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I am simply watching this one. Now, back to the Bitcoin treasury. So we talked about Tesla, how they own a bunch of Bitcoin. Okay, they do. Now, the next one I want to talk about today is Block. Block owns almost as much Bitcoin as Riot, 1,000 less than Coinbase, and Hut 8 and a few others. They own more than CleanSpark. They own a lot of Bitcoin. So they are going to benefit from that ownership at some point. And if we look here on the chart, this is a weekly chart, by the way, so each one of these candles represents 1 week. There's a huge, huge mountain in this thing. And this coincides with 2021. What happened in 2021? Well, let's just take a look at Bitcoin and see what happened in 2021. 2021, oh yeah, Bitcoin rallied in 2021. That's right. So did Block. And part of that is because their massive ownership of Bitcoin. And I expect a very similar thing to happen again in the next rally. And look where we're hanging out right now. We're hanging out exactly where we were hanging out before the last Bitcoin halving, where we absolutely launched into the stratosphere with Block. I expect this to probably happen again. So keep your eyes on Square. We are in our Square, sorry, Block. It used to be Square, now it's Block. We are in the exact same price range that we were before the last halving. After the last halving, we can see exactly what happened. This thing went on a meteoric rise up to $289. Right now, we are trading at $78. That is a significant upside on Block. So keep that on your radar. Watch this thing. It could potentially, shortly after the halving, we could see this thing absolutely rocket off of Bitcoin appreciating in value just like it did in 2021. So watch this thing, keep it on your chart. This could be the next micro strategy play potentially, if I'm being honest, and that's why I'm bringing it to the channel right now. So, put it on your watch list, something to watch. I'm not aping into this thing immediately right now because there is downside right now. So we are at support, or we came to it at $75. If we get below 74.61, we could very likely come down to 71 or $68. I do see $68 being a very strong support. I don't see us getting below that in the short term. So I am watching for a bit to see if it's going to come down there. If we can hold up here around $80, especially if we can get up and above, say 180, or not 180, $82. If we could get above $82 and hold for a few days, I start feeling confident about a move up to 100 on this stock. But Right now, I am watching to see if it's going to come back down to that 68 level, perhaps, before bouncing up and moving on up. We do have an inverse head and shoulders showing right here. You can see this one from March, mid-March, or this is 2023, sorry, March of 2023, September 2023, and then today we've got that. And that neckline is about that $82. If we get above that and hold above that, and if that inverse head and shoulders proves to be a real thing, on this, our upside on this inverse head and shoulders really would take us up to about 125 to potentially up to $150 off of that. And I do expect this, if it is to play out, I expect this to play out sometime in Q4 of this year, or like spring 2025. I'd expect it to be getting up to these levels of that 150-ish level. And then whenever Bitcoin decides to find a top, we're probably going to come back up to that $200 level on block. So let's take a look at who owns this thing as well. So that's another thing I want to look at. I like looking at the ownership, and on this one I saw some ones that I like as well. So we've got Vanguard owns 6.5% of this company, or about $2.8 billion worth. BlackRock owns 5% of this company, or $2.2 billion worth. Fidelity owns almost 4% of this company, or $1.76 billion worth of it. State Street down here owns 2% of this company, or just under $1 billion worth of this company. So the owners that I like to see are there on this company. The price action I like to see is there on this company. The current price of this company is looking quite exciting to me at this time. And one more piece of information, just to put the last nail in the coffin here. The price to book ratio is only 2.62 right now. Remember, the average is 3. So currently, we're undervalued on this thing, even without Bitcoin factored in on this play. So get it on your radars. This is something that's important to look at and have on the watch list. I had one more thing I wanted to talk about, but all right. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, there was one stock I wanted to bring forward. There's actually two, where we talk about the technical analysis and just how well that played out sometimes. So if you can see here, I was talking about Lockheed Martin back here on this day. It was, where is the day? It was January 31st. I was talking about Lockheed Martin. The price, as you can see on this chart here, was down at $430. Today it is at $452. It came up into my box here just like I thought it would. Took a little longer than I expected. It was actually, I was thinking it would happen, you know, in late February, early March, that it would get up there, but in fact it ended up being late March. So I was a little early, but just as anticipated, it came down. It was working its way down. Let's look at this one here. You can see off this red dot is where I grabbed it, and it came down significantly, but it stayed in my channel here and then kind of rocketed back up from there. The other one was USOIL. Now, I didn't show it on that video. I thought I did, but I didn't. I don't remember when, but I had drawn this back in January, showing the cup and handle, and I kind of did exactly what I thought it would. It came down, did a stop, came up, did a stop, and then came right up into the area where I thought it would. And that was really great. So that, I should have been watching this. This is one I totally forgot I was even watching, and I missed all of this. And I came back and looked at it yesterday, and I was like, what was I doing? Why didn't I stay up to date on this thing? I could have made some money there. But that's just the power of technical analysis, being able to look at the chart, read it, make some assumptions about what is going on with it, wait for those things to start happening, and then when they are confirmed, move in on them. On this one, of course, the confirmation would have been in late February, when we got this bull flag here right before charging up to that $86 level. And some are saying that oil is likely looking like it wants to make a move up to potentially even $100. I don't know if that's true or if it will or not. I think I need to look at the weekly if I'm going to make any assumptions about that, because this would be a longer term move if that were the case. I do think potentially 95 is after a breather, of course, because we are overbought right now. I do believe that since we are up above this 82 level, we're even now above this 84 level. If we can hold that for a week or two or three, 95 is a potential point for our next move on oil. And if that holds, this ends up looking like a double bottom down here. And the upside potential on that is somewhere around $100, $110 on oil going into the future. So I just wanted to bring that up. Technical analysis, it's great. Everyone should learn how to do it. Everyone should practice it, especially if you're investing in any stocks at all. I just wanted to bring that up as the last little thing today. So with that said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.